Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Courtney Yaki. I'm with the F&M Regional Growth Alliance. I've got Michael Baker with me from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Kim Kuchenbrod as well. I thought I'd seen Dawn pop up too, Dawn and Cindy from CEFS. Little group here that we're pushing forward for TPM practices here in F&M and the greater region as a whole. So today is there again, short session. Want to review a template that we put together. It's an Excel spreadsheet, a workbook with multiple tabs in it to try to gather the data that we're requesting from our resource partners. So going to record this and send it out to everybody. Everybody should have the spreadsheet ahead of time as well. We'll resend the spreadsheet out too. But quick recap. So TPM is Talent Pipeline Management. It's a six-strategy framework developed from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. It's a demand-driven approach to workforce development. It helps bridge the gap between education and the private sector and does so by empowering the voice of the employer and encourages that employer to participate in the talent development process and really focuses on data, collaboration, and outcomes. In establishing these practices here in South Central, Southeastern Illinois, we developed the F&M Regional Manufacturing Collaborative, which consists of 11 employers in the manufacturing industry through South Central, Southeastern Illinois, and represents 6,500 employees as well. We gave a pretty in-depth update to the resource partners earlier this month on November 4th. That was recorded. It was sent out to everybody. An AI summary, a short AI summary of the session was sent out along with it as well. That is on the YouTube channel for the F&M Regional Growth Alliance. Everybody should have a link to it. If you don't, you can find it on YouTube as well. During that session, we reviewed moving with the collaborative from strategy 3 to strategy 4. We detailed the critical demand positions that the employers have identified and reviewed the required and preferred competencies and credentials. And just to quickly review those, the first critical demand position is assemblers. This is your entry-level position. No prior experience really required. Fluency in English is not required for this position. Required competencies is that junior high level education for basic reading, writing, and math. There's physical demands that involve lifting, standing, repetitive motions, and really a big push for soft skills. It's the reliability, the punctuality, the teamwork, appropriate work attire, attention to the details, the ability to follow written and verbal instructions, the ability to work well and communicate with others. So that teamwork, that cooperation. Moving on into machine operators, this is your semi-skilled position. It requires technical and mechanical proficiencies. Looking at some of the required competencies there, and we'll detail them a little more here, is the ability to read and interpret blueprints, schematics, work instructions, and layouts. Really looking at proficiencies in measuring tools such as calipers, rulers, gauges, the basic computer and human machine interface knowledge. So think of PCs, think of smartphones, digital systems. Those are required competencies. Preferred would be that 3 to 5 years of manufacturing experience. Not required, but definitely something that they're looking for. Somebody that has been in a manufacturing or an industrial type role, that environment. A lot to learn from there. Look for preferred competencies also include certifications in industrial maintenance, industrial technology, electrical and mechanical technology as well. The third position would be the machine maintenance, and this is your more higher skilled position that requiring a demonstrated mechanical and electrical experience. Required competencies would be a high school diploma here or GED. Basic computer proficiencies and problem solving ability. That'd be, think of your emails, Microsoft Office, the CMMSs, mechanical aptitude and safe work practices, mechanical systems, pneumatics, hydraulics, electrical troubleshooting, blueprint reading and interpretation. And so most certainly a lot more within those required competencies, but that's where you guys come in, most certainly. And as the resource partners for the F&M Regional Manufacturing Collaborative, you guys are the ones that have the trainings, that have the programs, that have these offerings to be able to assist and positioning people well for coming in as an assembler or moving up as a machine operator, coming on as a machine operator, some type of incumbent worker training to get them into that machine maintenance. And for assemblers, looking at just the 11 employers that we have with the collaborative, there's a need of 100 or 410 additional employees through 2026. Looking at machine operators, that demand projected from the 11 employers, again, just a subset throughout the region. Projected demand of additional need for machine operators is 237, and the machine maintenance, looking at projected demand of 55 additional employment opportunities. So a lot of good opportunities there is. Our employers are actively seeking folks and wanting to work with our resource partners to help build out that value stream and to help streamline this process. And at the end of the day, providing people with the tools and resources that they need to be successful in the job. So just kind of a quick review there again. November 4th, we had an update to the resource partners that is recorded, that is on our YouTube channel for the F&M Regional Growth Alliance. You could see that there, review in greater detail. We did send out the PowerPoint as well that we used during that update, and should have it. If you need a copy of that PowerPoint, please do reach out. I'd be happy to send it to you. So to help us gather the process, the information that we need to continue into Strategy 4, and effectively what we're doing is seeking details on your courses and your programs to support the development of the machine maintenance positions, the machine operators, the assemblers. We put a template together to help, one, identify what are the required competencies and the preferred competencies, and to look at what have your historic enrollment and completion rates have been over the last couple of years, and where you're currently at, and if there's any capacity within these programs. And what I'll do quickly is share my screen here. And Mike, can you confirm that you can see the power or the slide deck, please?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So everybody should have this in your inbox. We'll send it out again with a copy of this recording, but this is the spreadsheet that, and a big kudos to Kim and Mike for coming up, and most certainly Mike Baker for getting this template assembled together, and the team as a whole to review it. But this is for the 3 critical demand positions. Trying to look at what are the required competencies, what are the preferred competencies, what courses or programs or offerings that you may have, whether that's a quarter, a module, a full semester, a full year, or half year as a semester, whether that's a post-secondary, dual credit, what type of academic credit, if there is academic credit to it, whether it's just a certification as well, for potentially for a non-degree seeking individual. So if you would see to the bottom left, we have the tabs as assemblers. That identifies what the required competencies are from the employers and what the preferred competencies are from the employers. Continue on into the machine operators. And there again, identifies the required competencies and the preferred competencies. And we'll note the original template that we sent out, we did have a duplication of read and interpret blueprints. We have corrected that. And so when we send this out again, you'll have the correct one there. And then your machine technicians, that machine maintenance, with the basic computer proficiencies, the mechanical aptitude, and you can see the required competencies there and the preferred competencies. And looking at historically, looking at what programs, offerings that you have to be able to adhere to these competencies, and then historically, what has that enrollment been? How has that class performed? And then are there any opportunities to increase that capacity there? And for today, really to walk through this, we mocked up an example, and I've got Mike Baker here who has put this together to see what a filled out sheet may look like. We did it for machine operators. And Mike, you want to walk us through this, sir?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Courtney. So we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. So The instructions are in the upper left-hand corner in red. So what we're looking for in the yellow columns on the left-hand side are your institution and where you're located, and then the contact name of the individual that's filling out the information. If you have more than one person, feel free to put more than one. That's fine. But just we want to know who to contact if we have questions. Um, in the blue columns, that's where we're looking to match up your course offerings with the specific competencies that the companies have identified. So you may have multiple courses that speak directly to one of the competencies. So if that's the case, just copy them down to the next line. And if you've like in this example, these are absolutely made up things, okay? So don't worry about that. But like in this particular institution, they have a semester course, Blueprints 101 and a Blueprints 201 that, together would make up a full year and they're dual credit. So we had them, add a line into the spreadsheet and copy down, read and interpret blueprints. Okay. Then off to the right. Well, let's just stick with this for now. Uh, so in these columns, you could have multiple courses that lead that apply to a particular competency. However you have it set up, fill it out accordingly. Um, to Courtney's point about credit, you may have things that are no credit. If
Hmm.
that's the case, just put no credit. That's fine. Um, just want to try to capture how it is you run it. Uh, any questions on that piece? Okay. Seeing none, then in the orange columns, we're looking for enrollment and completion data over the last last three full academic years, and then who you have currently enrolled. If the course is, like a semester course, ideally the completers are a subset of the people that enrolled. However, if you have courses that cross academic years, just put an asterisk by that or put a comment in somewhere so we know that. We just want to be careful with these retention rates because sometimes if if a course or enrollment would cross an academic year, the number of completers is not necessarily the same people that started the course. So we just
Hmm.
want to understand if that's what's going on. But we're not going to get too hung up over that. What we really are just looking for is the number of people that went into the program or into the course that academic year and the number of people that completed. Okay. And then on the far right-hand column in column Z, we're looking for how many people could you take? Based on the infrastructure you have set up, the instructor headcount that you have set up right now, what's the maximum number of students you could run through the class? And then probably this will bring up as many questions as it answers, but that's okay. Um, and that's, we're just, we're trying to get to the bottom of how each provider in the area is doing in lining up with what the companies say are the things that matter most to them.
And Mike, thinking of this, what we may do to the right side of column Z there is add a note column. So if there's something that you'd like to detail or make a note to help us, one, better understand what the data and the details that you're putting in there. But just to off to the right there of everything, we'll add notes and anything that you want to note on there. And possibly it's something that this is a course that we typically offer just it's a semester long course that we typically only offer in the fall. But if needed, if demand was there, that you might offer it in the spring as well. And so could potentially double that enrollment capacity. So something to note off this side, help us a little bit in explaining what you're putting on here, and I'm sure we'll reach out if we have any questions as well.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Please do. Thank you.
On the spreadsheet, could
Yes.
you put somewhere on there what educational requirement is a minimum, or if there's a reading level that's a minimum? I'm thinking more about maybe the assembler piece, because I think you said no, English doesn't have to be their first language.
Yep.
That they aren't required to have a high school diploma or GED. But is there something we could incorporate into GED classes that would make this student more marketable? In the state of Illinois, we have what are called bridge and ICAPs for our adult education folks. And this might be an opportunity for us to find a way to get a bridge or an ICAPs. ICAPs is strictly just they're going through GED classes and they're learning a new skill. So for this spring, we're doing early childhood education level 1. That is going to be our ICAPs so that someone can learn more about education, but more specifically early childhood education. So if I can see some of that might help us be able to provide what we have, but maybe us to think into the future of things that we could do for them. Does that make sense?
It does. And we got to leverage whatever tools and resources are made available to us to be able to, there again, set people up for success, right? And getting the tools and resources, the education they know to be able to step into a new position or to a new employer and be ready to go and be successful at that job. Awesome. Chris, if you don't mind, and sorry, I'll follow up with you and see exactly what that could look like. That's a good addition.
Then when you have the courses listed, I got the spreadsheet pulled up on my other screen.
And I can share it again. If you'd
secondary,
like.
Dual credit, post-secondary, none. I don't see any high school partners on here. Are we sending this out to like Effingham High School for Laura to fill out?
Okay. Yes.
Because we serve 32 high schools. It'd be kind of hard for us to say like, we have this in dual credit, but it's in Paris, which is an hour away from Effingham.
Understood.
So we'll try to limit our dual credit piece to maybe what's offered at Effingham School District and kind of let them answer some of those questions also. So
most certainly, and as needed, we'll come back and continue to fill that out too, for whatever is missing, and really looking to try to get this info back to us by Friday, December 12th. And so end of day, there again, Friday, December 12th. Granted, we know that Thanksgiving here is in a couple days. First and foremost, hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, but want to continue to work through this process. That gives about 2 weeks to fill out the documents there. If you get it done ahead of time, please send to us. So maybe there's a little back and forth. I've been working with John Oliver, I see on here, just this morning, talking with him and filling that out. And John gets a gold star for being the first one to submit back the spreadsheet. Sorry, Chris, it's not going to be you, but but most certainly looking for December 12th. We realize it's quite a bit of info that we're asking you to fill out, but we believe that it's not only helpful for you as an organization and to do almost like a mini audit, you will, of what your services and offerings are, but then allows us to put that information in front of our employers and to ensure that they're aware of what these offerings are as they continue to build out their value stream. So right now, the employers are going through what's called a back mapping process, and they're looking to see where have they gotten their talent historically from and trying to identify those value streams. And what we want to do is melt this data together as we move from strategy 4 to strategy 5 and introduce the resource partners together to continue to build that value stream. And Mike, go ahead, sir.
Just to Chris's point about other school districts, I suggest that let's prioritize what's happening in Effingham, your dual credit arrangements with Effingham, but Paris is not that far from Effingham. So if it's determined that the providers in Effingham and Effingham County cannot meet the demand, then that's a potential talent pool the companies might want to make a targeted effort to reach and do some recruitment in Paris to talk to kids that, when they graduate, they might want to live in Effingham.
Well, yeah, and NAL is part of the collaborative, and they have a strong presence up there as well too. Perfect,
And
perfect,
Courtney,
perfect.
in the comment, and I'll get more information from Bonnie. She had to jump off. She was going to do a Rotary presentation in Charleston. She needed more information on what exactly hydraulics, pneumatics, and mechanical proficiencies mean. I think
Yes.
we do some of those kind of checklist, or we work with our employers sometimes with their new people or someone who's being promoted into a new position, an incumbent worker.
Yep.
With some of those different areas that maybe kind of like what is the competencies that are looking for there. So
Yep.
you have any of that?
We can dive into that deeper and more specific, especially on December 18th. So it was noted earlier, December 18th is when we plan to move from strategy 4 to strategy 5. And that is the joint meeting between the employer collaborative and our resource partners. And we can dive in deeper at that point too. Anything that we can try to derive out of that at that point, lead it up to the 18th, we will, and most certainly, and almost look at it as, here's the catalog. Here is the, and I hate to say it, 10,000 foot view down, and then we'll narrow down to the exact needs into there. And what we want to do is connect the employers with the resource partners. And that's why we're having this joint meeting on the 18th, to have that open dialogue and to really narrow down into this.
Yeah. Chris, you kind of make me giggle internally because we had that conversation in a related conversation with them about reading and math skills.
Yeah.
And they were, okay, we need like, junior high level, high school level. Then it got into, well, okay, what exactly do you know at each grade? And so we all reached out to our contacts, and you were one of them about, okay, what does a fifth grader know in math and reading that a seventh grader, knows. So with this process, they spoke to us about understanding and proficiency in hydraulics, pneumatics, and mechanical, proficiency, but we didn't peel back the layers of the onion to say, okay, that means being able to turn a wrench 10 times in 15 seconds, or things like that. So as Courtney says, yeah, that'd be a great thing to try to tease out when we all get together. And hopefully we can provide some more clarity, and the companies can provide a little more clarity about that. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, and it's one of those, if they come here, we just want to make sure if we're putting something down that it is really what they're looking for, that we're not saying, well, they should take BUS 041 and that's going to meet this requirement. And then they take it and they're like, they don't know what we want them to know. And we're like, oh, breakdown in communication. So we just want to make sure that we're doing our best to communicate what we have and what we can provide to them, because I know that our employers, not just manufacturing, across the board, are looking for people all over.
Yeah. Yeah. And
awesome.
Kim,
and that's
Kim typed it before I could
Kim.
say it. Yeah. You have hit the nail on the head of what this whole thing is about.
And Kim's comment was, and that is TPM in the best form. And so most certainly warrants the need to continue these conversations and to engage and there again, bridge that gap between academia or education training providers as a whole. Not all training providers or educational institutions, but then with the private sector for our employers here, and trying to push forward collectively together. So love it. Any additional questions? We wanted to keep this short and sweet for folks.
Well, yeah, one more comment.
Yes, sir.
Get kind of back to the issue of Effingham centric or larger region. These positions are pretty generic. Almost any manufacturer and all manufacturers are going to have some form of these positions. So that's why it's important. Like if you have data on, if you have other arrangements with other school districts, it's important to get that down, because You never know where it will lead.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and this is a population of the region as a whole, a sample population of the region as a whole too. So most certainly applicable. And what we have worked with the employers, and as you guys continue to work with us through this process too, and we come together. Not everybody has assemblers, but what that role is may be a different name, maybe a production operator or whatever name that is within that organization, but it still has the same principles. It's the position still has the same requirement of competencies and credentials to it. So most certainly we narrowed down to a common language, and that's where we got assemblers, machine operators, machine maintenance, but then do recognize that some folks do call things differently, and but it is applicable not only here but across the region as a whole, and probably well beyond that too. So much appreciate everybody. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for attending today. We'll send out the recording here. We'll send out the copy of the template with just a few additions onto it, and look forward to seeing everybody on the 18th. And do note, end of day Friday, December 12th is when we're trying to get all this information in back from our resource partners and allow us the opportunity to start to form that and be prepared for the 18th. Hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.